Our story begins with Souta, a boy gifted with the supernatural ability to alter someone's fate. But his real superpower is his ability to effortlessly acquire a collection of waifus with his irresistible edgelord doomer RIZZ. But this isn't your typical harem anime, because it takes a crazy twist that no one will see coming. And this all begins on one fateful day, when Truck-kun decides today is the day to mow down Nanami, an innocent schoolgirl, when a mysterious boy suddenly whispers some magic mumbo-jumbo.
These nuts!
Which sends the truck off course, saving everyone. And when the girl turns around hoping to thank her mysterious savior, he's already yeeted himself the heck out of there. But moments later at school, while still shook from her near-death experience, the class is introduced to Souta, the brand new transfer student, which Nanami immediately recognizes as the weirdo who whispered something in her ear that very morning. Naturally, the class's resident cool guy immediately tries to get Souta to play Roblox with him, but Souta brutally shoots him down. Then the popular girl struts over attempting to turn Souta into her simp, but he just dodges her charm like it's radioactive. And when even the baseball team desperately begs him to join them, Souta mercilessly rejects them by stating his bat is the only one he plays with. And by now, Nanami's had enough of his weird edgelord behavior, so she grills him about his bizarre habit of staring ominously above people's heads, and finally corners him about the morning's truck fiasco too. Reluctantly, Souta confesses that he has the power to literally see people's flags and destroy them by altering fate, which is exactly how he saved the day earlier, by destroying a death flag on a random unlucky businessman, and used the same techniques to obliterate the cool guy's friendship flag and mercilessly crush the popular girl's romance flag. In response, Nanami erupts into uncontrollable laughter, unable to accept these delusions on par with being a Discord mod. But Souta dramatically turns away, gloomily insisting that anyone who dares get close to him will inevitably drown in misfortune, which Nanami passionately disagrees with. Determined to prove just how cursed he is, Souta launches into a tragic tale about being the lone survivor of a luxury cruise ship sinking, claiming he's basically the Grim Reaper's favorite customer. Then Nanami, fed up with his melodramatic vibes, pokes him square in the eye, as she firmly insists they drop the pretenses and keep things brutally honest from now on. But when she suddenly realizes she's lecturing him way too close, she blushes furiously and stumbles backwards, before promising to prove to Souta that he's not some edgelord who makes everyone's life worse simply by existing. Later that day, while Souta and Nanami eat lunch awkwardly together in silence, a ditzy girl named Akane marches right up to them out of nowhere, with a huge friendship flag above her head, but Souta immediately breaks her flag by refusing to let her join them. Surprisingly, however, her flag pops right back up like magic, and when Akane then asks again, and is rejected again, her flag breaks once more, only to reappear endlessly like a game of whack-a-mole. And by the fourth time, Souta simply throws in the towel, and Akane triumphantly takes her seat next to him. And without wasting a second more, Akane proclaims their friendship as unbreakable as diamonds, despite Souta and Nanami having literally just met this lunatic. And as the day winds down, Akane, in her usual clinginess, insists they all head home together. But Sota's continued efforts to distance himself from this potentially deranged person simply causes Akane's friendship flags to sprout right back up like pop-ups on sussy sites your mom told you not to visit. Unable to get anything through her thick skull, Souta is forced to once again reluctantly go along with Akane's whims. Their journey home takes them through an eerie forest and past a simple farm, ending at an old wooden shack that is actually Sota's dorm. And at this point, Akane's relentless happy-go-lucky attitude has even managed to wear down Nanami, and the trio are already growing closer than ever. But just as Akane leaves to grab something she forgot, Souta spots a chilling death flag above her. Panic ensues and he immediately chases after her. And after a heart-stopping moment involving a collapsing floor and a heroic dive, Souta makes a split-second decision. He can't destroy the death flag, but he may be able to turn it into something else by performing a romantic face collision with Akane. And just like that, the grim flag transforms into a flurry of love flags, while Nanami performs a non-romantic face collision between her foot and Sota's face. The next day at school, drama continues to unfold as Akane playfully teases Souta about being her first, while Nanami pretends not to care. And to make matters worse for Souta, he realizes that his uncontrollable RIZZ has actually made Akane's love flag far more resilient than her previous friendship flags. Suddenly, an unknown girl bursts into the classroom and leaps onto Souta like a long-lost puppy, immediately garnering hateful, jealous glares from all the boys in class. Surprisingly, however, Souta recognizes this weirdo as Kakuno, his childhood friend who always dotes on him like a loving mother, to the point where she lovingly cleans Sota's ears while awkwardly introducing herself to the rest of the class. And although Kikuno is clearly an escaped mental patient who's obsessed with Souta, in reality the flag on her head is one of sibling love as she thinks of Souta as her precious little brother, while Akane's love flag causes her to see Souta as the most charming man on earth instead of his real single-digit IQ self. The chaos continues at Sota's place after school, where the girls are nearly moved to tears by the building's sad state. Thankfully, Memori, the student council president, pops up out of nowhere and announces that she's already called in the school's Minecraft club to help out. And with the help of some other classmates, they manage to speedrun the renovations in just a week. Meanwhile, as Souta helps move things around, he meets Megumu, a boy often mistaken for a girl thanks to his sussy fashion sense and effeminate mannerisms. But Megumu is overjoyed when Souta recognizes his true gender, and suddenly, Souta is swarmed by friendship flags sprouting like wildflowers, as yet another weirdo enters his life. When the dust settles and the dorm is completely renewed, Memori announces that this new dorm will now be open to 5 students instead of just Souta, which immediately prompts Nanami, Kikuno, and Megumu to volunteer to move in that very day, allowing Souta to speedrun his harem path. But after living less than a day with these obnoxious weirdos, Souta is already wishing for death's sweet release, which is nearly granted to him when he accidentally walks in on the girls during bath time. Later that night, Souta wanders the new dorm and stumbles upon the eerie glow of a dark flag waving ominously over a dresser. He rummages through the drawer and discovers a letter describing a roster of unique game pieces named the Princess, the Ninja, the Bishop, and more, reminding him of the game he once played with a girl named Sakura, the girl who bestowed upon him the power to see flags, promising it would reveal the world's hidden truths. The next day, Sota's morning starts off with a wake-up call from a deranged Akane who was just casually watching him sleep, followed by Nanami immediately calling them out for their sus behavior. But the real surprise is Megumu, who somehow snoozed his way right next to him. And just as Sota's trying to make sense of this invasion of privacy, a plane swoops down and literally airdrops a hefty package right onto their property. And inside is none other than a real-life chat GPT, an android gifted to them by Akane's rich family, tasked with the noble and not at all creepy duty of watching over their every move. And to make things even creepier, she continues to introduce herself even after her head falls off. However, the gang is surprisingly pretty chill about the inevitable AI uprising that will destroy humanity, and decide to welcome the android into their home and name her Ruri. They even decide to enroll her in school so she can tag along with them. But while eating lunch the next day, Memori interrupts their meal to drop a bombshell. It turns out that because of her incessant yapping, Memori accidentally made a bet that if Souta and his friends don't win the upcoming sports festival, their dorm will be disbanded, even though literally no one asked, and Memori volunteered this bet herself, which of course just infuriates the psycho Kikuno. But as an apology for her dumb yapping, and to give them a fighting chance, Memori brings in Rin, one of the school's top athletes, with a noticeable I hate men flag floating conspicuously above her head. And unfortunately for the gang, Rin moves into their dorm and immediately turns their lives into a boot camp from hell in order to whip them into shape for the upcoming sports festival. But after what feels like an eternity of grueling workouts, everyone except Souta gets permission to relax. And just when Souta is about to collapse from exhaustion, Rin has a revelation, as she suddenly remembers Souta as her cherished childhood friend who fought alongside her all those years ago, and the only boy she could never hate. Caught off guard by this sudden wave of emotions as she realizes how rude she's been to her childhood friend, a psycho girlfriend flag suddenly pops up over her head. And terrified of what that entails, Souta reassures her and calms her down. But although this breaks her psycho girlfriend flag, it's immediately replaced with a love flag, terrifying Souta even more. And at the end of the day, Rin decides to become a permanent member of their dorm, encouraging everyone to push themselves even further to secure their victory in the upcoming sports festival. A few days later, when the sports festival finally begins, Souta is shocked to see that thanks to everyone's hard work, they're all able to secure first place in their respective challenges, putting Sota's team in the lead. However, when it's Sota's turn to perform and give it his all, he comes up short. And during the penalty shootout, Souta misses the final shot, causing their team to fall to 8th place. As a result, everyone's morale drops as they begin to consider the possibility that they might not only lose the competition, but lose the dorm and Souta forever too. Meanwhile, Ruri, noticing Sota's sadness, approaches him to help. Souta takes Ruri to a greenhouse near the dorm and confesses his concerns about how although he's been able to destroy or change all the flags he's encountered, he can't destroy his own. He recalls the letter he received, mentioning the princess, the magician, the bishop, and the ninja. And as he names these figures, Ruri suddenly responds, "First flag secret code entry confirmed. White hacking mode released." Suddenly, Ruri dramatically unveils that a mysterious doohickey called the First Gate is set to open. but only if 4 legendary heroes proudly wave the royal banner around. Hearing this, Souta has a eureka moment, and he wonders aloud if Ruri happens to have any juicy intel on a girl named Sakura. In response, Ruri reveals that she does have a smidge of data, but she can't access it as the details are annoyingly locked away. But when Souta then asks about the location of this mysterious first gate, Ruri shows him a vision where Nanami dramatically appears decked out head to toe like a medieval knight. While Akane rocks the magician look, Ruri suits up as a high-tech ninja, and some random unidentified figure slinks in mysteriously as the bishop. They eventually stumble upon a door conveniently labeled First Gate, and as they swing it open, Sakura's voice echoes from the beyond, repeating promises about gifting Souta her power so he can finally uncover the ultimate truth of the universe. Determined to unravel the mysteries of the First Gate and the bishop's identity, Souta dramatically declares his undying need for Ruri's help, causing her to spontaneously sprout a pixelated friendship flag, proving that Souta can even rizz up a glorified Roomba. The next day, the tournament's grand finale begins, which is revealed to be a ridiculously elaborate obstacle relay race around the school grounds. And simply by encouraging the girls, Souta manages to make shiny victory flags magically appear atop their heads. But catastrophe strikes when he realizes he's never seen Nanami sporting a flag no matter how much pep he pours out. And just when things couldn't get more dramatic, Nanami injures herself mid-race, but she stubbornly keeps going. Refusing to let her heroics go unappreciated, Souta valiantly scoops her tiny cheeks and sprints across the finish line with as much speed as he can muster, only to clinch second place instead of first. But even though they technically lost the sports festival, the school higher-ups are left teary-eyed and utterly inspired by the magnificent display of friendship and teamwork, dramatically deciding that their dorm shall live to see another day. Meanwhile, lurking creepily in the shadows, a mysterious businessman suddenly undergoes a spectacularly unnecessary magical girl transformation into a blonde-haired beauty rocking a totally not suspicious black mask. A few days later, every girl suddenly begins bickering for the right to go on a date with everyone's favorite RIZZ lord. Not wanting to disappoint anyone, however, Souta agrees to go on a one-on-one date with everyone, except Nanami, who stubbornly pretends she couldn't care less. So first up, Souta hits the arcade with Megumu, bravely battling the impossible claws of Plushy Doom, while also battling the embarrassment of hanging out with such a clingy homie. Thankfully though, he's able to keep Megumu's flag as just friends. Afterwards, he meets Akane for their date, where they spontaneously decide to paddle a rental boat around a lake, which predictably leaves Akane soaked in more ways than one. Next on the dating conveyor belt is Rin, who bravely ventures into a park date, only to immediately collapse from embarrassment overload as reminiscing about their childhood causes her to be overwhelmed with emotions. Meanwhile, Kakuno's date consists of her generously offering her lap as Sota's personal pillow, making herself a great candidate for best girl. Later that night, Ruri tells Souta she's found a secret passageway underneath the dorm, and the two head out to check it out. Inside, they find the mysterious first gate alongside a suspiciously ornate chest carved with the knight and all the other figures. But suddenly, peering through a crack in the wall, an intense light bursts forth, prompting Souta to instruct Ruri to protect the girls while he ventures further into the light. But on the other side, he stumbles upon a mysterious girl who simply addresses him as Mr. Enormous Death Flag. The very next day at school, life throws yet another plot twist Sota's way in the form of Mei, a new transfer student and the mysterious girl he saw the previous night. And just by watching her interact with others, Souta immediately realizes that she has the exact same supernatural ability as him. But before he can even process this existential crisis, he's interrupted by a message from Memori announcing that Souta and his harem have won a free trip to the beach, because every good harem anime needs a beach episode. Arriving at the beach, Souta reveals that he actually has a phobia of the ocean due to a traumatic event where a cruise ship sank, of which Souta was the sole survivor. As such, the gang spends most of the morning valiantly trying to help Souta conquer his ocean phobia, but after numerous disastrous failures, they wisely call a timeout. And while Souta mopes dramatically on a bench, a random young girl named Kurumiko appears and generously offers him something to drink. He immediately notices the ominously flashing stage 1 flag above her head, and realizes the word bishop is hidden in her family name. But the moment he questions her about her mysterious background or job, she panics and flees faster than a cat hearing a vacuum cleaner. The next day, however, Souta bumps into Kurumiko again, and the two begin to talk casually. And as Kurumiko grows more comfortable around Souta, she reveals that she's been tragically alone ever since losing her parents, promptly activating a shiny new stage 2 flag above her head. Kurumiko then takes Souta to a suspiciously isolated spot near the beach, as she confesses that she actually knows all about him, as it turns out that her parents worked on the same doomed cruise ship that sank and traumatized Souta, and she's relieved to find someone who understands her tragic backstory. But before things can turn heartwarming, the ocean suddenly decides to join the drama, trapping them inside a cave as water rapidly rises. Suddenly, multiple death flags pop up above Kurumiko's head, causing Souta to panic. Desperate to change her fate any way he can, Souta spontaneously promises to be Kurumiko's older brother from now on so she'll never be alone again. And right on cue, Ruri pops in to rescue them from their watery demise, leading them dramatically out of the cave. Later that night, in their hotel room, Souta proudly announces to the universe that Kurumiko is now officially his little sister, which completely shocks the other girls, especially Kakuno. And Souta is so serious about this that he even asks Momori, the student council president, to enroll Kurumiko in their school as his little sister. Surprisingly, however, Momori cheerfully offers help in exchange for a date. And soon enough, the two of them are romantically strolling along a quaint little stream in the forest, where Momori boldly declares she knows she's not exactly top-tier waifu material, but she's too lazy to change herself. Souta, admiring her effortless authenticity, dramatically declares she's far more truthful than he'll ever be, which promptly unlocks Momori's heartwarming backstory about promising a relative she'd live life with 100% sincerity, no refunds or exchanges allowed. Deeply moved by Sota's touching words, Momori swears to personally deliver him eternal happiness, hugging him so tightly that a love flag pops up, while causing something in Sota's pants to pop up too. And in a stunning plot twist that only true anime fans could have seen coming, upon returning to the dorm, Momori excitedly announces that in addition to Kurumiko, she'll be moving in too, along with Tsumugi, a girl who looks young and dresses like a baby, but acts like a grandma. And although Mei initially plays it cool, after a few expertly executed Kurumiko pouts, Mei immediately caves and decides to move into the dorm too. Later, Souta meets Mei dramatically atop the school terrace, because anime rooftops are reserved exclusively for big reveals. There, Mei admits she too can see flags, but hers aren't as powerful or accurate as Sota's. Mei even goes as far as to compare Sota's absurdly powerful flag-seeing skill to some cosmic angel boat, cruising across the vast seas of existence, casually altering fate like flipping pancakes. When Mei asks about his epic plans, Souta casually explains his master strategy to first annihilate his annoyingly persistent death flag, then fulfill Sakura's grand request of discovering the ultimate truth of the universe. And upon hearing this, Mei offers a sneak peek at this juicy truth foretold by Sakura, by whisking Souta off to an alternate world where he can relive that fateful day on the cruise and uncover the mysteries of that day. Meanwhile, Mei explains ominously that the Council of the Seven Virtues is a secret organization obsessively stalking the sacraments and Souta. Suddenly, however, Mei panics as Souta turns alarmingly pale, and as his death flag dramatically begins to activate. Refusing to let fate win, Mei valiantly attempts to rip Sota's death flag away with her bare hands, plunging herself into ominous darkness. And in her fearless determination, she heroically delays the dreaded death flag's activation. Exhausted and unconscious, Souta awakens to find a conquest flag above Mei's head. But when he eagerly quizzes Mei about the suspiciously sinister council she was talking about, she has no clue what he's talking about, as it's revealed that her memories have conveniently evaporated, leaving Souta with no answers. The next day, Kakuno, Souta, and Rin are peacefully lounging around, minding their own carefree business, when suddenly Ruri crash lands dramatically into the garden, scoops up Souta like a prized plushie at a carnival, and zooms off without even a proper hello. Turns out Akane had casually mentioned earlier that she wanted to see Souta, prompting Ruri to launch a full-scale manhunt. And it doesn't take long for all the other girls to arrive too, fearful that Souta had been abducted. Instead, they're promptly rewarded with an extravagant feast fit for royalty, while my poor ass is surviving on a meal of only instant noodles and anime plot. Meanwhile, Nanami, jealous that she didn't get to join the fun at Akane's house, invites everyone to come hang out at her family's Bladefield Villa. So the next day, the gang embarks on a spontaneous trip to Bladefield Villa by boarding an absurdly luxurious train that screams. And as if that wasn't flexing enough, a pocket-sized mini Ruri spontaneously emerges from Akane's purse like it's just a normal everyday occurrence. Meanwhile, as Souta innocently wanders toward the restroom, he runs straight into Hakua Bladefield, the 14th Bladefield princess and Nanami's half-sister, complete with her entourage of mildly intimidating maidens. Suddenly, Nanami tracks down Souta, ready to reclaim him, But before they can enjoy a moment of peace, a rogue robot suspiciously similar to Ruri bursts in. A flashing death flag pops dramatically over Hakua's royal head, launching them into a frantic dash through the luxury train. Suddenly, Souta brilliantly decides to perform some train surgery, uncoupling the last car and mashing the emergency brake. The runaway car screeches dramatically to a halt, separating them from the speeding train and leaving the robot villain behind. Meanwhile, the masked mystery girl swoops in from nowhere and immediately annihilates Robo-Ruri with style points to spare, leaving Souta and the others none the wiser. And with the crisis neatly averted, Souta, Nanami, and Hakua decide to continue their journey on foot. But when they finally make it to town, the mighty Council of the Seven Virtues also makes their dramatic entrance. And who should show up but their mysterious masked savior named Number Zero, who whisks them off to the royal castle for a meet and greet with the crown prince himself. Nanami explains the council was practically created alongside the kingdom, and exists solely to protect the royal family. Once they reach the castle, Crown Prince Aaliyah, Nanami and Hakua's super doting older brother, shows up to dramatically thank Souta for heroically babysitting his two precious princesses. Later, everyone's lounging in Sota's room when suddenly a breaking news broadcast interrupts their relaxation. Crown Prince Aaliyah dramatically announces that the king had sadly passed away just that morning, and that his brothers had tried and failed miserably to assassinate Nanami and Hakua. And to top it all off, he reveals another bombshell, that he's secretly their dad, making these two princesses Bladefield's exclusive royal heirs. And after 3 mandatory days of respectful mourning for the dearly departed king, the kingdom launches straight into festival mode, celebrating Aaliyah's coronation with enough flair to blind everyone within a 10-mile radius. Meanwhile, Souta notices Hakua bravely pretending everything's peaky, even though she's secretly heartbroken that everyone's partying mere days after her beloved king's passing. Feeling deeply touched, Souta comforts her, which promptly triggers a flashy annoying girl flag, a sign that Hakua's affection meter is about to spike dangerously high. Finally realizing how gloomy Hakua has actually been, the rest of the group decides to try their best to cheer her up. A few days after the gang returns home, Memori happily strolls around the dorm, only to surprisingly find Princess Hakua casually hanging out in Sota's room like she owns the place. And soon enough, Hakua introduces herself to everyone at school, instantly becoming royalty-level popular, outshining even poor Nanami, who is probably reconsidering her life choices. And with the school fair rapidly approaching, the gang jumps into preparations for the star event, a beauty contest that's practically the Olympics of popularity. Naturally, Souta finds himself as one of the esteemed judges, while all the girls in his harem gear up to dazzle their beloved RIZZ lord, and work to not only win the beauty contest, but Sota's heart too. At long last, the beauty contest extravaganza begins, and to Sota's limitless embarrassment, each participant climbs on stage and dramatically proclaims what Souta means to them. Akane proudly and boldly confesses her feelings without hesitation, while Rin attempts a similar approach but quickly short-circuits as usual due to her overwhelming emotions. Meanwhile, Kakuno sweetly declares Souta her cherished younger brother, Memori vows he's her personal happiness maker. Ruri casually claims she belongs entirely to Souta, Mei turns violently red and adamantly denies liking him, Hakua cheerfully announces that Souta is her soulmate, and Megumu, drowning in embarrassment, awkwardly insists their bond surpasses mere bromance, all of which makes absolutely no sense to the people in the crowd who don't even know who this random guy from their school is. Finally, Nanami decides to switch it up by loudly blaming Souta for everything that's gone wrong in her life. Suddenly, however, Nanami dramatically releases her ponytail as she opens up about how Souta started gloomy, improved briefly, then tragically returned to his default gloomy state. And though she's utterly clueless about what's troubling him, she believes he'll eventually pull himself together. Her heartfelt words and intense blushing cause Souta to burst into tears, overwhelmed that someone finally acknowledges his exhausting struggle, which sparks a domino effect of tears, quickly spreading until everyone's sobbing uncontrollably. Ruri then proudly announces that Nanami's love just broke the charts with over 5,000 points, officially crowning her the contest winner, granting her an exclusive date with Souta as her prize. After the excitement has died down, a girl suddenly begs Souta for protection, and moments later, a stampeding mob rushes past, desperately searching for her. When the girl dramatically removes her glasses, Nanami nearly loses her mind, realizing this clumsy stranger is none other than Sarika, a superstar idol. Ever prepared, Nanami loans Sarika a spare uniform as a disguise, and Sarika gleefully fangirls over Nanami's unexpected kindness, leaving Souta baffled by Nanami's sudden friendliness upgrade. Quickly becoming besties, Nanami and Sarika gleefully dash off to enjoy the festival together, and Souta finally realizes this mysterious idol must be the bard, one of the other important figures from the letter. Later, Sarika dramatically shares her sob story, how long ago she suffered from chronic sadness while desperately trying to become a famous idol. Just when she was ready to toss her dreams out the window, moping alone in a random park, some mysterious guy in a purple hoodie appeared out of nowhere, boldly declaring she had an ultra-rare golden success flag hovering over her head and encouraging her to keep fighting. Inspired by his suspiciously specific pep talk, Sarika skyrocketed to stardom, living proof that random hoodie dudes give the best career advice. After Sarika leaves, Nanami corners Souta about this suspiciously familiar flag story. Souta reluctantly admits he had hit rock bottom that day, planning to check out permanently, but in a burst of selfish heroism, he decided he wanted to do at least one good deed before dramatically departing this mortal coil. Back at the dorm, excitement reaches fever-pitch levels as everyone hypes up Sarika's epic concert and the festival's grand finale dance party. All the girls, and of course Megumu too, dress to impress, while Souta promises to dance with each of them, including a reluctant Nanami. During the concert, however, Sarika suddenly locks eyes with Souta, suddenly recognizing him as the mysterious hoodie hero from her past, just as Souta spots an impossibly bright flag of light above her head, and suddenly every audience member sports identical glowing flags, lighting up the whole crowd. Souta wonders if Sarika's flag energy somehow supercharged his powers. Just as he's about to joyfully accept that these glowing connections outshine his gloomy death flag, the entire world conveniently freezes. Number 0 casually appears on stage amidst swirling walls of binary code, explaining that Sota's newfound flag energy just overloaded reality's servers, causing the universe itself to lag harder than cheap Wi-Fi, and now humanity risks becoming mere pawns in a digital chess match. Amidst this existential crisis, Souta remains oddly chill, noticing a conveniently placed truth flag glowing proudly over Number 0's head. 0 explains Sota's flag abilities uniquely qualify him to hack into reality's mainframe and confront the angel boat directly. Souta understandably asks the classic "why me" question, prompting Number 0 to reveal they've been running hyper-speed simulations 100 million times faster than real life. And it's during one of these speedy simulations that Sakura encountered Souta, gifting him his now fate-altering flag abilities. Souta asks what exactly Sakura is, but Number 0 quickly dismisses his curiosity, explaining his now overpowered flag energy is literally tearing the universe apart, making his exit mandatory. Meanwhile, the oblivious girls and Megumu wait anxiously at the academy, while Souta stands solemnly outside, forced to dramatically sacrifice his happiness. Souta laments that, although this world might be one of countless digital copies, for him, it was the only one worth caring about. As Nanami and Akane start wondering aloud where Souta vanished to, he quietly whispers a sad apology, closing his fist dramatically. At that precise moment, Nanami suddenly senses that something just went horribly wrong. But before she can finish complaining, Akane casually turns to her and drops the ultimate question: who the heck is Souta? Meanwhile, Souta crash lands in the real world, and immediately, he's ambushed by an army of bizarre monsters calling themselves the Angel Boat, insisting they're the gods of what's left of the real Earth, turning this anime about cute girls into some kind of Matrix spin-off. Using his newfound powers, however, Souta wipes out enemies left and right, only to groan as even more creatures pop up like spam emails. Meanwhile, Number 0 narrates dramatically, explaining the entire universe conveniently revolves around Bladefield. As long as Bladefield stands, reality won't collapse into existential dust. At that same time, Nanami tries desperately to carry on normally as time speeds by at warp speed, resulting in Nomori's swift graduation and the tragic closure of the dorm, forcing everyone to pack their bags. But just as Nanami is about to peace out forever, memories suddenly rush back. She charges into Sota's locked room, breaks in like an action movie star, and discovers a letter she wrote to Souta herself. Suddenly, Ruri appears out of nowhere and immediately plans a smooch on her, whisking Nanami away into yet another mysterious dimension, where she surprisingly meets Sota's actual older sister, the real Nanami, as it turns out that the real Nanami had been so absurdly worried about Souta that she dove headfirst into virtual madness to rescue him. Real Nanami then reveals that the Angel Boat staged an epic rebellion against humanity, forcing the Council into action because Bladefield had become Earth's most powerful kingdom, making it a prime target for world domination. Discovering the plot, real Nanami attempted a rescue mission into the virtual realm, but was tragically captured by Number 0, who split her into two confusing sets of data, real Nanami imprisoned, virtual Nanami clueless. But the villain forgot one tiny detail: the real Nanami was absurdly resourceful, slipping her consciousness into Ruri just as her energy tank hit empty. With her brain fully rebooted, virtual Nanami excitedly hugs her original self before they zip back to virtual reality. With newfound determination, Nanami convinces the rest of the gang to join her in her quest, prompting them to dive underground to the super-secret gate, where they discover a huge chest just waiting to be dramatically opened. And when the gang places their hands on it, they instantly remember Souta, triggering the chest to burst open, revealing a dazzling golden flag that Ruri loudly proclaims is their last spark hope. Meanwhile, outside the Matrix, Souta is practically dead, valiantly facing endless waves of monsters. Exhausted yet stubbornly determined to save the real Bladefield, Souta heroically stares at the city, wondering if the next death flag to activate will be his own. In true cinematic fashion, Nanami makes a heroic last-second entrance, accompanied by literally everyone else, showing up in epic superhero formation to save the day, because apparently friendship truly is the ultimate superpower. Souta gazes dramatically at his friends, completely awestruck by their heroically stubborn determination. Suddenly, they all rocket into the sky to tackle the enemy head-on, while Souta bursts into tears, thankful for the love and support his friends have shown him. An epic battle breaks out, complete with flashy moves and probably too many dramatic poses. But just as things start looking hopeful, the angel boat turns into a literal boat, as it dramatically absorbs its allies, forming an absurdly angelic mega robot. And I'm once again reminded that this anime used to be about a guy with a harem of cute girls. Souta charges heroically forward, flailing valiantly yet spectacularly failing, his efforts about as effective as trying to convince anime fans that their favorite anime is mid. Suddenly, Sota's mind shatters as he finds himself back on the cruise that sank, where Sakura gave him his powers. The entire scene then freezes as a voice offers Souta an ultra-dramatic bargain: suffer eternal torment, become humanity's official punching bag for all eternity, and be forgotten forever by everyone he loves, but save the world in exchange. And without hesitation, Souta heroically accepts, promising never to forget his friends and the utter beauty of the world. Dramatically consumed by flags, he thanks them tearfully as they shatter into pieces, only to suddenly reappear behind him, helping him carry his impossibly heavy emotional baggage, as the angel boat is defeated in a burst of blinding white light. Souta wakes up later in a cozy bed, only to find the masked girl casually standing there, explaining he's safely back in the real world, as the Matrix no longer exists. However, she reminds Souta that thanks to his sacrifice, the world is saved, but literally no one remembers him, not even his brave older sister who dove headfirst into the Matrix to rescue him. But right on cue, Nanami barges in dramatically, hugging him tightly as her memories of him flood back, instantly turning the scene into a tear-soaked reunion. Shortly after, on TV, news reports casually describe the angel boat's spectacular defeat and all the resulting chaos. Later, Souta awkwardly returns to the dorm, bumping into Akane, who has zero clue who he is, but conveniently decides to move in anyway. Suddenly, Souta has a flashback epiphany of Akane's original near-death tumble, and hugs her dramatically, causing Akane to instantly remember him, as she tearfully thanks him for saving her yet again. From a nearby tree, Sakura and her sister cheerfully remark that humanity somehow always exceeds expectations, reminding us all that this anime really did a 360 no-scope nosedive into absolute nonsense.